Hello everyone. This is the famous game of Paul Morphy versus the consultation team. Today we'll take a look at a fantastic game played by the brilliant American Paul Morphy in 1858 against two opponents, the Duke of Brunswick and Count Isouard. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Morphy, playing white, began with the king's pawn. Black mirrored the move. White develops a piece and attacks the e5 pawn. The strongest replies here are knight c6 or knight f6, the Russian defense. But instead, black chose the Philidor defense, a rather passive opening that blocks in their dark-squared bishop and allows white to seize the center immediately, which Morphy does.
Paul Morphy seizes the center with the move d4. Here the consultants pin his knight, although the third world champion, Jose Raul Capablanca, advised developing the knights before bringing the bishops into play. Black brings out the bishop too early and Morphy immediately strikes with e5. Black cannot recapture with the pawn because after exchanges on d8, white wins the pawn on e5. Thus, black is forced to exchange on f3, giving the opponent the advantage of the bishop pair and a serious lead in development. The consultants regain the pawn, but Morphy develops his bishop with tempo, already threatening mate against the black king. The best defense here was queen f6, although after queen b3, white would still increase the initiative, attack the pawn with tempo, and continue developing the knight, making it very difficult for black to defend. But in the game, black played knight f6, which was even worse. White immediately delivers a double attack, hitting both the pawns on b7 and f7. As a result, black suffers material losses. White could simply capture on b7, creating the threat of winning the rook.
Queen e7, queen b7. Here, black is forced into a forced line with the exchange of queens, and the game reaches an endgame where white has an extra pawn. This position is technically winning, thus, white could have simply transitioned into a winning endgame. But the soul of the poet could not resist the passionate impulse. Morphy plays knight c3. He simply develops and prepares to launch an attack against the king. The consultants cover the attack squares b5 and d5. White completes the development of the minor pieces, pins the enemy knight, and just look at black's position. It's unclear how they are supposed to play. The knight cannot go to d7 because of the loss of the b7 pawn. If the knight goes to a6, white can simply exchange, ruin black's pawn structure, and then attack the opponent's weak pawns. The king side is undeveloped and both the bishop and rook are still asleep on their starting squares.
In such a situation, any normal chess player would feel an irresistible urge to resign. But the consultants did not lose hope and played b5. If the bishop retreats, black would be able to finish development with knight d7 and then somehow push on the king side. But not this time. Paul Morphy strikes with knight takes b5, sacrificing a piece and at the same time exposing the enemy king. Black captures on b5, but white immediately delivers a check. Black must defend against the check. After king d8, white castles long, bringing the king to safety and launching a powerful attack. In the game, on the continuation knight d7, white castled queenside and now threatens to capture on d7. Black cannot recapture with the knight because they would lose the queen on e7. Therefore, black is forced to defend with rook d8.
White sacrifices the exchange on d7. After the rook is taken, the consultants recapture on d7 with their rook, and white immediately plays rook to d1. At this moment, black still has both the bishop and the rook on f8 and h8, completely inactive. White, on the other hand, has a colossal lead in development, and it begins to pay dividends. What can black do? White is threatening to capture on d7, and the knight cannot recapture because the queen would be lost. So the consultants try to free themselves from the pin. White strikes again, capturing on d7. Black recaptures with the knight, and now I invite you to pause the video and try to find Paul Morphy's brilliant finishing combination.
Did you find it? Of course, the queen sacrifice. Queen to d8 check.
The only move for black is to accept the queen's sacrifice, but then comes the final blow. Rook to d8, checkmate to the black king. What a fantastic attacking masterpiece by the brilliant American chess player, Paul Morphy. If you enjoyed this brilliant attack, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. See you next time.